Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
And good morning, friends, and welcome to another edition of Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Bob Scott. It's Monday, July the 28th, and today's guest is a bold, and I'll say it again, a bold conservative voice who's made waves in both Frankfort and now on the national stage, State Representative Ryan Dotson. You can join in today's program by texting us at 502-571-0970. Again, that phone number, text line is 502-571-0970. Or if you believe in the mission of Kentucky's Voice and want to financially support us, you can do so by texting us at 55555 KY Voice. Again, that text line number to support us is 55555 KY Voice. We are your only conservative Christian voice in the state of Kentucky. Ryan Dotson is a U.S. Army veteran, a pastor, and an entrepreneur, and a proven leader in the Kentucky House. He's perhaps best known for sponsoring and championing Senate Bill 150, one that he really literally led the way on that. It was obviously a landmark piece of legislation that protected biological girls and women's sports. It safeguarded parental rights in education and pushed back against radical gender ideology in Kentucky classrooms. Senate Bill 150 didn't just pass, it drew a line in the sand for common sense, faith-based values here in Kentucky. And Ryan stood on the front lines on that piece of legislation. He's originally from Pikeville. Ryan's journey took him from military service as a radiology specialist in the U.S. Army to the pulpit at Lighthouse World Outreach Center, a church in Winchester that he now pastors, where he has served for nearly 20 years. His leadership in the community and his unwavering commitment to biblical values eventually led him into politics. He's now served 3 terms in the Kentucky House, fighting for faith, family, and freedom. And the nation is now taking notice. Ryan was recently honored in Washington, D.C. as a standard bearer of the GOP platform, recognizing his steadfast commitment to conservative principles. He also received the Legislative Champion Award, and that's a pretty big deal, award to get, from the Kentucky Hospital Association for his healthcare policy work, and has been endorsed by dozens of his colleagues in the Kentucky General Assembly, a strong show of conservative support from conservative lawmakers and others across the state. Now, Ryan Dotson is running for the United States Congress in Kentucky's 6th District, bringing him a record of leadership, of message, moral clarity, and a mission to restore true conservative values in Washington. Today, we're going to talk about his journey, his accomplishments that he's had, and what really does set him apart in a crowded, becoming even more crowded GOP field that now includes Ralph Alvarado, who recently announced that he was going to run and was, in fact, on our show last week with one of my co-hosts, Jim Waters. Also, State Representative Deanna Gordon is in that race on the Republican side. As a reminder, Alvarado did publicly support COVID masking and vaccine mandates. On the Democrat side, so far, are challengers like Sherilyn Stevenson and David Klobuchar, who are pushing, of course, their far-left agendas in our schools and our economy. But first, let's take a look at this clip from Ryan's campaign announcement. Please play clip number 3.
With 6th District Congressman Andy Barr giving up his seat to run for U.S. Senate, the race to replace him is heating up. State Representative Ryan Dotson officially announced his candidacy tonight at a campaign event in Winchester.
Allie Root was there and has more on why Dotson hopes to follow in Congressman Barr's footsteps.
I'm not afraid and I won't back down.
Republican Representative Ryan Dotson is no stranger to politics, currently serving District 73 in Frankfort. Dotson says he believes his success at the state level would translate well in Washington.
Save Women's Sports passed in the state of Kentucky. I authored and got that bill passed. It is now law. I protected property rights. I was a big part of helping to lower state income taxes.
Now Dotson is entering the race for Andy Barr's 6th congressional district seat. As a veteran, businessman, and longtime pastor, Dotson says he is someone everyday people can trust.
A good shepherd smells like the sheep. And so when you live among the people and you dwell among the people, work among the people, do business among the people, know you. They trust you. And I believe you're able to lead because they see you as one of them.
While the seat has been held by a Republican since 2012, Democratic candidate Sherilyn Stevenson says she's determined to flip the seat in the next election cycle.
If I can get out there, meet all the people, just have those one-on-one conversations, we can block out all of that noise. And that's what it is. It's just noise. It's meant to divide. I have my head down. I'm focused on the people of the 6th district, and we're going to win this race.
Dotson is confident that won't happen.
This was a plus 25 for Andy Barr back in November. This was a plus 15 for Donald J. Trump back in November. This seat's not going to be flipped.
The Kentucky Democrats released a statement today criticizing Dotson's time in the legislature and stated that his candidacy is, quote, yet another example of Republicans trying to fail up while failing their constituents in the process. But Dotson remains steadfast in his decision to run, promising to fight for trade school funding, border security, and to always put the American people first.
Shrinking government control, and giving the government back to the people.
More candidates from both parties are expected to enter the race in the coming weeks. In Winchester, Allie Root, Fox 56 News.
And of course, that clip was courtesy of Fox 56 over in Lexington, where I believe they conducted that initial interview with you, Ryan. And again, it's our honor and our pleasure, sir, to have you on this program. You've done so many distinguished things in really a relatively short period of time. You have served, I guess you're in the middle of your third term.
Right.
Representing that district over there, and basically it's around the Winchester area and takes in parts of Lexington as well. But before we get into deeper conversation, I'd like to talk, and for our listeners to get to know you a little bit better as far as your roots, your faith, and your serve to call. You were born in Pikeville. You talk about that often, and you served in the U.S. Army as a radiology specialist. How did that background shape your worldview?
Well, I am a son of a 6th-generation coal mining family, and I come from a little town called Freeburn, Kentucky. It's where it touches the West Virginia border. The only thing separating us is the Tug River. So growing up there, being in a coal mining community, growing up there, I wouldn't trade that for anything in this world. Some of the most best people in the world are there. But it was either go into a coal mine or go into the military. And so I scored high enough on my ASVAB test to be able to secure a position with the military, going to X-ray school, because I wanted to get into something that would benefit me and the family down the road. So that was a really good option for me at the time. I was only 18 when I went in. So I served a couple of years. When I got out, I had this education and I wanted to put it to use. And so I came down and put in some applications in Lexington, and the University of Kentucky reached out to me, and I got a job with them working in radiology. So Winchester was a good compromise for me because I didn't want to live all the way in Fayette County, seeing I'm still a country boy, a mountain boy. And Clark County was a good compromise. And so we settled here 33 years ago, and this is where my wife and I have reared our children, and now we have grandchildren, and we've planted roots here. So we've been here for quite a while, and I've been, all the while I was in radiology and working at UK Hospital, I felt a calling to begin a ministry, and I did so. And we began a little storefront building, and turned it into a church. And we started with 12 people, Bob, and we grew our first year to 120 people. Wow. So the church grew so fast that I had to make the decision to step away from radiology and just do ministry full time. And that's kind of how it started for me. I've been in ministry now for 28 years this year, and as the pastor of Lighthouse World Outreach Center. So that's what kind of brought us down here, was our opportunity to work at the University of Kentucky Medical Center. And then we began our ministry here and our businesses here. And it's just, things have really blossomed here in Central Kentucky for us.
Yeah, amen to that. And what was the moment you knew, and you mentioned your business, because you also a businessman, successful businessman, that you've owned and actually sold several businesses as well. But, what was your moment that you knew that you wanted to transition as a pastor, as an entrepreneur, business person, into the political arena?
Well, for me, and you'll see as a pastor, you see an underbelly of society many people never get to see. From the drug addiction to marriage counseling to all, you run the gamut of being there with parents when their children are passing away in the hospitals, and you deal with so much trauma. And then, you give people hope through the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that has its place. But then there's also a warfare taking place, Bob, in the culture that we live in the warfare that's taking place outside the church. And I felt a mandate within myself, and I speak to other ministers who are involved politically as well, and they felt that same call to get involved, to help shape culture, to help defend our family values. Because the way things were spiraling, the church is really good at what it does to helping the broken, but how can we keep people from becoming broken? How can we get effective in the fact that we want to help shape families and keep family values what they need to be? And I felt the mandate, or the calling, if you will, to not only be connected within the church itself, but also connected in the kingdom of God outside the church and establish the kingdom through the political arena. So
No, amen. And we've heard that time and time again. Folks, you're listening and watching Kentucky's Voice. My special guest today is Congressman Ryan Dotson, Representative Ryan Dotson, who hopes to be a little slip of the tongue there. Stay tuned. Yeah, we'll be right back with more of Kentucky's Voice.
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. We are joined today by our special guest, State Representative Ryan Dotson, who is also a congressional candidate from the Kentucky 6th District over around Lexington. You can join in on the show by texting us if you have any questions at 502-571-0970. Again, that text line number is 502-571-0970. Or if you believe in the mission of Kentucky's Voice and want to financially support us, you can do so by texting us at that number you see on your screen, 53555, KY Voice. Again, that number is 53555, KY Voice. Well, Ryan, again, we were learning a little bit about your background in the last segment. When you came on, you'd served our country with distinction in the United States Army. You have also run businesses over in the Winchester area as well, successful businesses, and really throughout the state. And I guess you could make an argument, most importantly, you've served as a pastor, and really helped people through some very difficult times. And I just want to follow up real quick about that, because as far as, I think that's a very important thing. We first met many years ago. In fact, this is before you ran for office, or let me just rephrase that. You were starting your run for office, and I was serving as an interviewer, screening interview for a conservative organization in our state. And I remember the first time I met you, I was just really taken, first of all, by your honesty and your candor, and your commitment to actually running for the office. And you'd mentioned in our first segment that it's not just you. We are blessed in this state. We have several pastors or people in ministry that are serving,
Sure.
In state government. And that's so refreshing, because it does bring that particular special flair, special gift, of voice, being a voice of conservatism and Christian conservatism in our state. And, your work in Frankfort has, and again, you've made huge impacts. I mean, you said you were going to do it. I remember, again, going back to that interview, but you said you were running to make an impact.
Yes.
And I still remember that to this day. And I've heard that a lot of times by other politicians. But you absolutely meant what you said to do, and have actually made it come to pass. And I know that you're very well respected by your colleagues, in Frankfort. As I mentioned, you've now served 3 terms in the Kentucky House. What are your proudest accomplishments there? Obviously, Senate Bill 150 would probably be the biggest one, but, I know you've had many.
Well, going back to what you alluded to just a few moments ago, my purpose in running for a public office is to be impactful. It wasn't to be a career choice by no means. And to take what time I do have left in Frankfort and what I've already done, I can look back and with dignity say that I gave it my all, and I've done the very best I could. And, I pushed back hard on very big social issues like Save Women's Sports. I authored that bill. We made that bill pass in the House and the Senate, and we got it across the line, and it's now been law for the last 3.5 years in the state of Kentucky. Very proud of that, keeping biological boys out of girls' sports, and that was a big one for us. I've been a very staunch supporter of property rights, defending property rights. The city of Louisville had already done it for a period of time, but they were forcing landlords to take Section 8 housing. You buy a piece of property and you want to put it on a rental program, the government there wanted to tell you who you could rent it to. And that's just not right. And so the city of Lexington was about to do the same thing. And I passed House Bill 18, which put a stop to that, which protected property rights for our property owners. And it goes just beyond landlords. It's about putting up and letting people know that, we believe in the Constitution. You buy a piece of property, the government shouldn't tell you what you can and cannot do with it. So, I've been a big staunch supporter of that, but also I push back with keeping boys out of girls' bathrooms and locker rooms, made the big push with stopping gender reassignments on minors. But also on the flip side,
let me throw this in. Mm-hmm. By the way, those were things that our governor strongly supported.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
In this conservative state, and you all had to actually override his veto on that.
Well, it was such a battle with him. When I first went in with guns blazing because I had 8 articles of impeachment against Governor Beshear. And I went to my leadership with those articles of impeachment. I worked with a lawyer to get those articles ready to fire at him. And he had some impeachable offenses.
Yes, many felt that way. Now, are you referring to the COVID
yes, back during
lockdowns
the COVID.
And the things that he did, which was, by the way, overridden by a federal judge several times?
Yes. So I was going to go after him, and what had happened was that some civilians had brought in articles of impeachment as well, which took it out of the House's hands, and it went in another direction. So anyhow, but that was my desire, was to come in and impeach the guy. He was keeping people from going to the house of worship during COVID, keeping people away from their family members.
Sent state troopers there to take down license plate numbers. Come on. That's something that's done in communist China, not in the United States. I'm sorry.
And I fought against the vaccine mandates, the mask mandates, against even members of my own party. I hate to say that, but, I believe in freedom. And the thing is that I don't mind other folk. If you feel like taking the vaccine and it makes you feel safe, then by all means do it.
Yeah.
But we don't need to be made to feel like second-class citizens because we choose not to take a vaccine that has not been proven, that has now came to light, has caused so many deaths and caused so many health problems in Americans. So, now looking back in retrospect, there's been a lot of damage because those vaccines had been pushed. And I was a staunch fighter for medical freedom. I was a staunch fighter. Even as a pastor, I was writing for my people letters to keep them from having to take against their religious beliefs. So I was fighting it every way I could. And they were even members of our party that was like, you're pushing too hard against it. And I'm like, absolutely not. That vaccine is for you. That vaccine isn't
correct.
For
yes.
So protect yourself, but leave me alone.
In fact, you were recently honored, interestingly enough, by the Kentucky Hospital Association and actually recognized in Washington as the GOP platform standard bearer. What do those honors say about your influence both in Kentucky and nationally?
Well, I was able to be a part of some legislation this year that protected rural hospitals, and I championed that and helped them. And it saved rural hospitals millions, hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of a few years. And they recognized me. I wasn't expecting that recognition, but it was a great honor. And they rallied behind me because they seen the fight that I put up for them. And so that was a blessing that I wasn't expecting, but they have named me the KHA Legislative Champion of the Year for the organization, which is a very big honor. But something that came to me about 4 or 5 weeks ago, very unexpected, is that I was to receive an honor from the Legislative Analysis Institute in Washington, D.C. for the GOP standard bearer for the state of Kentucky, which was one of the greatest awards I've ever seen a legislator given, because they ranked 138 of us in the House and the Senate. They went back 4 years on our record, and they also seen what we've got passed and the impact that it had. And I got that award out of all my colleagues. That doesn't make me better than anybody, but my goodness, it made me take a step back and say, what I am doing is making a difference. And strategically, how the Lord works that in the middle of my campaign to receive such an award. So I'm very blessed.
Yeah, and that was something that was not sought out or anything. It
No.
just happened organically, but it was because of the work and the stands that you have taken. And again, we in Kentucky is appreciative of those efforts. You're listening to Kentucky's Voice. I'm Bob Scott. My special guest today is State Representative Ryan Dotson, Congressional candidate for the 6th District. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. My special guest today is State Representative Ryan Dotson, who's also a congressional candidate from the 6th District here in Kentucky, around the Lexington-Winchester area. You can join in the show by texting us at 502-571-0970. Again, that text number is 502-571-0970. And I want to talk for a second about our mission. Here at Kentucky's Voice, we are the leading conservative voice. Really, I could really make an argument as the only conservative voice, Christian conservative voice in the state of Kentucky. We broadcast this show Monday through Friday from 11 to noon, and we need your support. So if you've ever thought about helping out the mission of Kentucky's Voice, you can do so by texting us right now at 53555. Again, that text line number is 53555 KY Voice. 53555 KY Voice. We'd like to have you become a part of our Christian mission here, if you will, that we're rolling out. And I'm just so excited again to have Ryan Dotson on the program today. He's a friend. I've known Ryan for, I guess 4 or 5 years now, and just have always been impressed with him from day one. In fact, he's also a strong supporter of President Trump. I do have a clip that I'd like to play from Caroline Leavitt, who's the White House press secretary. Please play clip number 1.
A massive AI announcement, 3 trade deals, and a 6-month celebration all in 1 week. That's right. It's time for another jam-packed MAGA Minute. The administration began the week celebrating the most successful first 6 months in history. President Trump hosted the President of the Republic of the Philippines, and he delivered remarks at the Winning the AI Race AI Summit, outlining the administration's AI action plan to secure American AI dominance. The president then visited the Federal Reserve to assess potential wasteful spending in the central bank's $2.5 billion taxpayer-funded renovation. And the president continues to prove he is the deal maker in chief, inking trade deals with Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines in what will go down as one of the most historic trade deals in American history. Real median earnings are now at their highest level since the last time Trump was in office. That means more money in your pocket. Columbia University agreed to pay the Trump administration a $200 million settlement for their violations of federal law, and they have vowed to protect Jewish Americans and all students on their campus. This week, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, declassified a report revealing former President Barack Obama wrongfully directed the intelligence community to publish implausible intel suggesting that President Putin colluded with President Trump in the 2016 election. This was a lie and one of the greatest political scandals in our nation's history. So following this, the Department of Justice has announced a strike force to investigate next steps. President Trump is off to Scotland. We will return to Washington on Tuesday, so we'll see you for next week's MAGA.
And there you had Caroline Leavitt, again, the White House. I absolutely love her. She is, she's got to be one of the smartest in such a young age and gifted White House press secretaries, because you know why? She, like you, tells it like it is, and has no problem doing so. And what a gift, she is to our nation. And Trump really has put together a wonderful team. There's been a few minor bumps in the road, but nothing that I would call derailing. And no. Most importantly, there's been a tremendous amount of success, that's happened. Just yesterday, he signed a trade deal with the European Union that's going to mean billions upon billions of dollars to the United States and our economy. This is the golden time. At least I think it is, as far as where we're hitting. And I know, Ryan, you have been to Washington already several times, and have had a chance to meet with some of the key people there in Washington as you look at making this run. And in fact, I saw one you'd met with Marjorie Taylor Greene and,
right.
and some of the other folks that I would really consider strong conservative bastions of light, in Washington. I know you have a desire to go and join them, but talk a little bit about that, what that experience was like.
It's been really phenomenal. I was just up there a week before last. That was my second trip. And when I received that award for the standard bearer of the GOP award, I was awarded along with some other congressmen and congresswomen that came over and received the award as well. And like Byron Donalds, Mary Miller, Jeff Jordan, some of these, Ralph Norman from South Carolina. So all these guys, just being in the same room with them, feeling there was a sense that I belonged there. It was a great opportunity. And I've met with Marjorie Taylor. I've met with Andy Harris, who's the leader of the Freedom Caucus, and been up there, and I've met with NRCC. Trump's political team invited me to come to the White House, so I've been there twice already.
Wow.
And just how things have came together really well for us, and people have watched our campaign. When I went in to meet with Trump's political advisor, something that was very cool was that I go in and sitting at this little table, this gentleman was sitting in a corner, and he had a file already on me with my picture on front of it. So they had already done all this research about me before I even went in the first time. And so I've developed a great relationship with Trump's political team there at the White House. And so we stay in constant contact, and I stay in constant contact with NRCC folk. And while I was there the last time, people from other organizations heard that I was there. So Speaker Mike Johnson's team reached out to me, and I met with them while I was there. And then the whip, Emmers, his team knew I was there, and they reached out to me as well. So I made those meetings happen. So it's a lot of good buzz has been going on. But of course, for the last 3.5 months, I've been in this race by myself.
Yeah.
While everybody else was lurking in the shadows, trying to see who's jumping in, who's going to do this, who's going to do that, I came out clearly, decisively, without hesitation when I came out to run for Andy Barr's spot in this 6th congressional district seat. So I wasn't lurking in the shadows. I wasn't waiting for pieces to move around or see if that one would jump in. Or I wanted to come out early to let people know and to put the work in, because I know that it's going to be a long road, but I wanted to put the work in to prove to the people that how bad that I want to go to Washington, D.C. And it's not for any other reason but to push back against this woke agenda, to stand with Trump's agenda to get America great again, and to push back against Ilhan Omar and Hakeem Jeffries, push back against, AOC and all Chuck Schumer and all these guys, because you can go to Frankfurt or you can go to D.C. and be a button pusher. Yeah. Or you can go
and a lot do that.
And that's what a lot of legislators have done. You can be a good button pusher and stay in the shadows and do very little, or you can use your voice and be something and do something that's going to be impactful. And so I've got a short time. I'm 52 years old. I'm not looking to be a career politician, but I want to take the next few years of my life and really make an impact and to help America and future generations to really prosper and to be blessed.
And what proves this point is you have secured many endorsements from, your colleagues, the people in the legislature who you work with on a daily basis. How does that support shape your campaign and help you stand out?
Well, you ran a clip of my coming out just a few moments ago for our campaign kickoff, and we probably had right at 400 people there. And I had, I think, 10 folk from the General Assembly that had came and spoke on my behalf, and one senator, and I think I had 10 reps. And then David Walls, the executive director of the Family Foundation, came and gave us his thumbs up. And it was a great event. And we had all the media there, all the news stations were there. The Herald Miss leader came and wrote an article and said Dotson had about 70 people in attendance, and that was so wrong. And so
are we shocked, though, brother? I mean,
no,
are
not
we
at all,
surprised?
not at all. So I had to go and make sure people knew the right things there. But anyhow, it was just a great kickoff. I secured that support from a lot of my colleagues early, and they came out unapologetic. They didn't care who I ran against. I was their guy. And so more and more of that is coming to us, coming to our campaign, and we're strategically placing those endorsements. But what it does, an endorsement by itself means a little bit. It don't mean everything, but when you start piling on your colleagues who serve with you and community leaders who've seen the work you've done, that in totality speaks volumes for your campaign.
Absolutely. And, someone who is deeply grounded, obviously, in your faith, how do you balance your spiritual leadership and your political responsibility?
Well, I govern that because I do have great leadership within the church. And so I minister on Sundays. I still run and do hospital visits when I need to, things of that nature. But my downtime is used, if you call it downtime, is really used to do my political work as well. So I juggle really well. And if something comes up that there is a conflict, I've got help on both sides of those things to really help me to navigate. And you know what? It's worked out beautifully for me. Over the last 6 years, I've never had any issues and nothing major. So, God has made a way for us to be able to do both simultaneously.
Yeah. And if elected, Ryan, I got to ask you this question. What federal priorities will you pursue immediately that align with the values you've defended in Frankfurt?
One of the first things that I wanted to tackle, and I made it known about 4 months ago publicly, and since it has come to fruition, was to defund Planned Parenthood with taxpayer dollars. And now, and having those connections to D.C., it made me wonder if they've been watching what I've been saying on social media. But anyhow, they've already done that. They've begun to defund them, and a lot of Planned Parenthood's closing down their offices. One of the things I really like to focus on, too, is really giving the same consideration to trade schools as universities. Not everybody.
Absolutely love that.
Not everybody is meant to go to university or go to college, and America was built by trade.
Yes.
And to really put the same consideration when we give grants and give funding, that trade schools get the same consideration as a Harvard University, because we've got men and women who are going to be great at building, going to be architects, it's going to be HVAC, plumber, and really that's the nuts and bolts of who America is.
Amen. And you are listening and watching Kentucky's Voice. My special guest today is State Representative Ryan Dotson. We will be right back with our final segment of today's Kentucky Voice. You absolutely want to stay tuned. We appreciate you watching and tuning in.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. It is our pleasure to have welcomed Congressional candidate and State Representative Ryan Dotson on the program today. You've been hearing about the many things, conservative things, that Ryan has done to benefit the people of our state, and now he wants to obviously take that to Washington, D.C. You can join in the show if you have a question or a comment by texting us at 502-571-0970. Again, that text line number is 502-571-0970. Or if you believe in the mission of Kentucky's Voice, and I know a lot of you do, and want to financially support us, you can do so by texting us at 53555 KY Voice. Wow. I got to do this. I want to have a little bit of fun, but I have a clip that I'm going to want to share with you and the folks that are either driving their cars or watching us from home. It comes from one of your challengers in the race, Deanna Gordon, who is a representative from over in the Richmond area, but it is aimed at and focused at Ralph Alvarado. And let me say this up front, folks. I know Ralph. I have worked with Ralph on conservative issues in the past. I don't dislike Ralph. I'm just, honestly, like a lot of us, are kind of scratching our head. He had left Kentucky to go to Tennessee to become, I believe, their health commissioner down there, and was down there out of our state, basically resigned his seat in the Senate. And, I'll let you touch upon that in a second if you want to, Ryan. But, had pretty much been away from Kentucky for 2 years, and then he suddenly decided to come back to Kentucky and now run, just recently announced that he's running for the 6th Congressional District as well. But anyway, here's a clip from Deanna Gordon aimed at Ralph Alvarado. Please play clip 4.
Hi. My post was so popular over the weekend. I did some shopping, and I've got some items, and I'm going to put together this gift bag for Mr. Alvarado so we can welcome him properly to Kentucky. So a few of the things that I picked out, I've got some Kentucky Proud corn. I have an EKU ball cap as well as a Kentucky ball cap. I also have from Ronning Clark County a bottle of LA and some barbecue sauce. And also a nice bottle of Woodford Reserve that was distilled right here in the 6th District. And speaking of that, in case you forgot, I have this nice map that shows the counties of the 6th Congressional District. And lastly, these are a list of the polling places in Clark County. So welcome to Kentucky.
I'm sorry, but I'm not. That really had me cracking up as I was just sitting here, and that's the first time I've watched it in fullness. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but obviously tongue-in-cheek, but a lot of honest, good humor that she's thrown out in the direction of Dr. Alvarado. And so I don't know. And as we've talked about, Ralph is now one of your opponents, and he was an outspoken supporter of COVID masking and vaccine mandates back when it happened. And in fairness, a lot of people didn't know what was happening, what was going on. But as you talked about earlier, Ryan, you had dug in and said that your body's your body. You have the right to decide to do with it, as did I. That was my position. You shouldn't be forced to mask or. And by the way, folks, and I think everybody knows this now, masking has been shown to be a fraud. It gave absolutely zero protection through it. You remember when they were making us do that 6 feet apart stuff, and saying that you're doing it to protect grandma and your loved ones and those with compromised immunity, and in effect, you really were hurting yourself. And especially the ones that were in those situations, because, when you're breathing in your own air in an environment like that, you're just opening yourself up to other type of bacterial infections, in the process. But, Ralph did support it initially. I mean, in fairness, we have to say that. And how do your views, I know you touched upon a little bit, differ from his on public health and personal liberty?
I'm going to stick, if you don't mind, Bob, to my agenda, my platform, and let everybody else hash it out and let everybody else speak to the obvious things that, and I'm only going to speak about myself, and people know that I'm a fighter. People know when they elected me that I would be vocal. Again, when it goes to saying you're MAGA, you're Trump, that's one thing. Because it's easy to get behind a big personality like Donald Trump and say, you know what, I'm going to support his agenda. But can you be a strong conservative? Can you go up there and be a strong diplomat for your people when you have a Democrat who's president? Therein lies the difference. Anybody can go up there and get behind Donald Trump, but can you dig in your heels and push back against the wokeness if you don't have a Republican president? And I've proven that against a Democratic governor. And so therein lies a huge difference between me and a lot of other people that are potentially looking in the race. I've already proven myself. And I say it like this, and I'm a pastor, and I'm just going to share this. When David wanted to go fight the giant, they're like, who are you? You're just a shepherd boy. He said, his brother said, go see Saul. And he told him, said, what makes you qualified? He said, I fought the bear and I fought the lion when they came in to destroy my father's sheep. He said, who is this uncircumcised Philistine?
I love that. Yes.
And so here, I've already fought the bear and I've already fought the lion. I'm asking the people of this 6th congressional district to let me go and fight the giant in Washington, D.C. I've already got a record. David had a resume when he stood before Saul. I've already got a resume that proves who I am and what I'll do in the face of adversity. So, Bob, that's what I stand on, and that's what I want the people of this district to know. They've got a fighter in Ryan Dotson.
Yeah, and you said with regard to that many times that you want to be a Republican standard bearer, when you go to Washington and, if you are elected, to that position as a 6th congressional district congressman. How do you respond to voters, Ryan, concerned about sending yet another career politician to Washington? You've talked about it a little bit, but I'd like to have you expand upon that and what makes your leadership different.
Because I'm not looking to make a career out of it. At the end of the day, I just want to go and I want to be impactful. I want to shore up our nation. I want to make sure the pillars of our nation are in place for future generations, not just for my political gain or who you can rub elbows with, what kind of cabinet position you may get looked at down the road. It's nothing like that for me. At the end of the day, if I wasn't running or if I did not win this race, I've got a happy family. I've got a happy life. I've got people who I'm a winner either way. So the fight that I'm taking is not out of desperation. It's out of convenience because I have the support of my family. I have the support of my community. I'm willing to go and take that fight to Washington, D.C. if they so choose to elect me. And if I'm not, I'm okay because I've got a blessed life. God has been good to me, but I do believe I do have a mandate to be in Washington, D.C. I do believe that is a calling of mine. And so I'm going to fight all the way through. I started as soon as Andy Barr made his declaration, and I'm going to fight all the way till the May primary. And we're going to win this thing, Bob.
Yeah, and you are who you say you are. I talked about that at the start of the program, but I'm constantly, folks, seeing Ryan do Facebook posts, and I mean a lot, about spending time with his family and the pictures, and you really are concerned about the future of this nation. Not just for the older generation like us right now, but also your grandkids and their kids. And yet, we know that Democrats like Sherilyn Stevenson and David Klobuchar, who are only in the race so far, only Democrats in the race so far, are pushing policies like Medicaid expansion, higher spending on public education and labor protections. How do you plan to appeal to swing voters in places like Lexington while staying true to conservative principles?
Well, the one thing that really sticks out with me is that, I have been a huge proponent for social justice and social values. But I've also, as a businessman, I have a great business acumen. And to just share a little bit with you, we have, over the last budget cycle, I was able to bring back over $217 million back to my local government, back to my community. So I was able to go to Frankfurt, and to work there and to develop those relationships to be able to secure funding for our community here in this district. So it's not just about going down there and just beating your chest, finding a battle to jump into. It's about securing funding. So when I go to Washington, D.C., I'm going to put those same attributes to work and bring funding and create jobs. That's going to be my message to the whole, because I want all of Central Kentucky and all of Kentucky to prosper. And to do that, I've got to be able to develop those relationships and use my business experience to help secure those things in our district.
Yeah, and we have a little over a minute and a half to go. And what is your final message today to voters? Across the 6th district. I know our signal does get into that area somewhat. Why you and why now? In particular.
Well, what I would really encourage those who are watching and listening to do is just to research all the candidates, research all of us, and I believe the uniqueness that I bring to the table is what separates me from the others. When you look at 3 Republicans, I would say 92% we all stand and agree on the same thing. But there's probably 8% that makes us different. And so when you look at those differences, I do believe that you'll see a stark contrast between us that makes me stand out.
Yeah, and again, we can't stress enough that whoever gets elected to this position is going to stand on principles and I think a proven track record. And I again, that's something I know that you absolutely bring to the table. You have fulfilled everything that you said you were going to do. We wish you Godspeed, my friend, and definitely want to have you back on the show again here several times.
Sure.
Over the course of the next year. To talk about the race and how things are going forward. You've been listening to Kentucky's Voice. My special guest today has been Ryan Dotson, State Representative and Congressional candidate from the 6th District. We want to thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Kentucky's Voice.
Thank you.